My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, it is currently 10:12 a.m. As you are aware, well, if you're aware, if you're paying attention to what I documented on this day in 2024, the fake sun is in perfect alignment with me, like it is outside of this front door. Like I took images at 9:48 a.m. where the fake sun's over the same building where it is at 4:30 p.m. like I showed you yesterday, where the fake sun remains after 5:30 p.m. outside of the same patio glass door. And you're looking at what is evidence of stalking with light, the shadow of my hand on this floor lamp, the shadow of my hand on this wall. This is the elements of monitoring. This is demonic. This is not happening with the ignorance of those who are gang stalking. You're looking at psychopaths who are gang stalking, the convenience of being in the engineer light, but this is a demon that's actually not even sleeping. That's the entity that's gang stalking. And also inside of this apartment where you're looking at engineer light, that travels across the defendant's wall, as you've seen, the line of light that's here, and then it travels here, and then it's on a line on the ceiling inside of the kitchen where the Ontario PD are gang stalking by helicopter, as I documented at 12 in the afternoon, when engineer light just travels like cockroaches on the wall, and the demon is gang stalking in the adjacent bedroom in concert with all the rest of the entity under the fake sun that's remaining over the same address all day long, where engineer light fans across the cabinets and spans across the ceiling and engages in all manner of supernatural behavior like is documented while it's remaining stationary. Los Angeles, what is outside of my living room window at 10 o'clock on video is not reflecting off of the vehicles in the same parking lot where it's reflecting off of this vehicle at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon off of these two vehicles. This is the pattern of conduct of stalking, and the psychopath is monitoring at the same time while stalking in the path, and it's feigning sleep because the demon gets up at the drop of a dime with regard to monitoring what it is that I'm doing, and a psychopath acts like they're asleep while they're gang stalking. They're also engaged in monitoring my genitalia while you're looking at this engineer light, and the demons are engaged in what is evident. This is going toward their mental illness, this impossible light activity, and the engineer light, I'm capturing this video because the entity had sweeping engineer light across the ceiling while the psychopath, the mental health patient, is feigning being asleep. That's called relevant positioning. And while light activity is simultaneously underway, this has nothing to do with sunlight. This has nothing to do with sunlight. Okay, this has nothing to do with sunlight. It's underneath the patio at an angle underneath. That's scientifically impossible. And the fake sun has nothing to do with the engineered light that's covering everything outside, as at the same time the entity is keeping the fake sun over me like I captured on video on this day for the duration of the day, but specifically at 10 a.m. And I did take screenshots. It's already uploaded to the Google Drive. So while I'm on the couch, And on my communication device, engineer light just scans through across the ceiling. And this is engineer light also on the ceiling right here. This is P.O.C. It's absolutely impossible light activity that is occurring on the inside while this light is going, it just moves across, remaining on the ceiling, like I've already documented. I've documented it in different locations across this wall while it travels. And this is the P.O.C. It's engineered light, stalking with light, which is the pattern of conduct. And you're being in the path, whether you want to feign being awake or asleep. She's going to a mental asylum. This is a sex offense because they're all monitoring my genitalia, and they're doing so with regard to the evidence that they are also keeping under surveillance, and they be the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Mayor, Paul Leon, Alan D. WAPNER, who you know is the president of the gang stalking airport that uses commercial planes, gang stalking, flying over the fake sun that remains over the same sidewalk, over this building, in alignment to me. Where you see the fake sun right now on this side, I'll show it to you, has nothing to do with this engineer light here, while it's on this side of the front door. And after 4:30 p.m., like I showed you in images, where this fake sun is merely on this side of the same building at a lower elevation than the tree, remaining here. And then at 5:30 p.m., it's merely in alignment where I'm still looking at it through this patio glass door. This has nothing to do with the engineer light that fills Tracy Banks' apartment, and this is all engineer light. None of it is sunlight, okay? The entity is maintaining an ongoing pattern and a rapidly changing environment with regard to what is never the reflection of the sun in the first place, okay? None of this is sunlight either. Tracy Banks is going to a mental asylum, and the documentation of the engineer light is that which is the relevant for the diagnosis of the mental illness of those who are gang stalking. And so that's how you're going to use their terrorizing and demonic tactics to diagnose mental illness. It's psychopathic. It's also entirely delusional. It's very disturbing what the entity is using while they're demon possessed and while they're gang stalking someone, engaging in psychological torture. And the documentation is going to be used toward that, speaking to malice, and a gang stalker that is stalking in the path by being in the bed as though you're separate or distinct. You're not. That's a psychopath. That's delusional. That's Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, who you also see gang stalking in plain sight while this fake sun is still here. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the same property, reflecting off of the same vehicles in the same parking lot. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 10:17 a.m. and this is documentation of this is the stationary because it's merely creeping across on the wall. The light that occurred was fanning in real time, scanning across the ceiling and the wall. And the defendant is right in the bedroom. That's terrorism, and that's an unlawful threat. She's going to a mental asylum. I'm maintaining a diligent body of evidence because everybody's going to prison and mental asylums in units 33 through 64 while I'm documenting stalking via light. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's documentation also of malice and impunity, and AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted as well. It is 10:17 a.m. on April 6, 2025. This is P.O.C.
She did, because she called me. Yeah. She called me. But I have been asking Miss Shirley to come back for a whole year. She's been gone a whole year. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, yep. That's right. Loris shot me when she came. Yep. 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 There was a nice elderly couple, a black couple, really nice guy. They sat on your side, really nice guy. Really. That was probably Dolores. Oh, okay.
Okay, it is currently 10:41 a.m. This is audible activity and the maintenance of the elements of monitoring and the engineer light that fills Tracy Banks' apartment. So she is creating audible activity with the demon who was on the phone with her, who calls her while I'm capturing a series of screenshots documenting her, while the fake sun is over her apartment, while her gang stalking neighbors are creating amplified noise inside of the apartment. So this is the P.O.C. underway while Tracy Banks uses her communication devices, which is the typical manner in which she is gang stalking. She also does the same thing with the Ontario Police, who amplify helicopter activity. She does the same thing with the Ontario International Airport, who amplify plane activity. She does the same thing with the demon possessed, who are remaining in relevant relevant position at the venue in the engineer light, who amplify booming noises as though these old people are that powerful and strong and that loud. This is the P.O.C. and her communication device is a means of federal stalking. This is a male referencing she went out to hang out with the old people at some club where a bunch of demons engage in festivities together. They're gang stalking. I've documented this venue. The name of this club, he's a gang stalker, and that broke down club where a whole bunch of old people get together is a third-party facilitating venue, and they're admitting to being together. So this is relevant because I'm going to prosecute him. This is a male that's on the phone, and he's engaged in the pattern of conduct right now with Tracy Banks and engaging in psychological torture. And this is a psychopath who you'll see in the images feigning sleep while engineer light is creeping across her wall on the ceiling. Engineer light is framing the front door. Amplified noise is filling her apartment. The fake sun is over her apartment where it remains until the end of the day, where the entire entity is remaining. This is the same demon that engages in things such as sexually violent means of trying to exploit me while gang stalking me and trying to defame my character, such as putting cameras inside of my private space where I live. She did this in concert with her demon-possessed sex partner and cult member, Jason Isaac Fields, those that are abusing their positions in government while seeking to criminally defame me. These are the quote-unquote hitman that engaged in this ongoing campaign against my reputation while I'm simultaneously being gang stalked. And this gang stalking through what is the means of a conversation is the outward demonstration of malice that is very diabolical. There's nothing normal about it. It is the audible activity and relevant positioning pursuant to the elements of monitoring. And it is also the phone call that's based on what I'm doing on my device. So the demon calls her phone. She is then quote unquote waking up and resumes a conversation. It is the means of monitoring. It's coexisting with the amplified noise inside of her apartment with the engineer light inside of her apartment. And this is also published onto the Google Drive right now. So it is currently 10:43 a.m. What you will listen to next is the video, because the video documentation about where the fake sun is right now outside of this demon's apartment. This demon is Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, who is on a communication device engaged in federal stalking, a means of surveillance, and in a means of what is the maintaining the elements of monitoring while the people of the state gang stalk and monitor on even communication devices. While the devices themselves and the engineer light is a means of engaging in what is surveillance that's underway in the United States, by the way. But these are demons that are acting maliciously. And at the same time, while you're listening to this audible activity and relevant positioning by the people of the state, this is simultaneous with the fake sun that is at the same time over this apartment, as I documented on video, and the demon is feigning sleep, clapping her hands, laughing loudly. She's monitoring. This is a psychopath who will be in a courtroom crying and engaging in the same level of dramatics when she wants to feign ignorance about, I don't know, I have no idea. I would never do anything like that. This is what this demon, this is a psychopath. This is what she's going to do in court. She's nonetheless going to a mental asylum, and the people of the state gang stalking with her are going to be prosecuted as they do so with the police. It's the same analysis. Daryl Mandy on the phone with her, gang stalking with Ontario PD. He's going to prison. Eric Spencer on the phone, gang stalking with Ontario PD. He's going to federal prison. He's going to prison because he's a gang stalker whose name I know, who's been systematically engaged in repeated acts of seeking to target my life, criminally defame, criminally summon, and gang stalk with the Ontario police. He's going to prison regardless. The same malice that's exhibited by this psychopath, where this body of evidence, which is showing the specific environment, which is literally her apartment, that psychopath is sharing that same mental condition, that same level of malice with Eric Spencer. Every gang stalking relative is engaging in that with the intent to murder their relative that they're gang stalking, with the intent to criminally defame the relative that they're gang stalking. And they do that with those who are also calling their devices on the phones, hanging out with them in your, all they're doing is monitoring. So by monitoring, you're talking about a bunch of demons who are pacing around, gang stalking, maintaining active activity. And that's what Tracy Banks is doing on her phone. That's what the people of the state are intentionally and knowingly doing on her phone, via her phone, calling her on her phone. And it is 10:45 a.m. where they do so in concert with all of the pattern of conduct that remains underway while she's inside of the apartment in the specific environment in relevant position. Okay, so I want to make sure that that level of malice is shown and that is shared with regard to also the mental illness of psychopaths who exhibit that level of malice while they are gang stalking. Malice is relevant to psychopathic disorders. This is relevant to understanding what is actual mental illness, those that are deriving a pleasure, that those who are obsessively consumed with targeting another person also for no legitimate purpose, even being gratified by it, and also engaging in a whole fake existence. Their their life is fake. Their existence is fake. This is what the people of the state are doing when they're living and existing in engineer light under a whole fake sun, which is nothing other than a means of identifying the P.O.C. The fake sun that is over Tracy Banks' apartment right now, where her communication device is a means of maliciously gang stalking with the people of the state who are both at the apartment complex surrounding it and also on her device right now, is the not the sun that is anywhere in Texas, anywhere in Nevada, anywhere in San Francisco, California, anywhere in Los Angeles, California at the same time of year, unlike what I documented, which is what I'm going to take a screen recording of. It's nowhere in Florida. It's nowhere in New York. It's nowhere in Nebraska, Louisiana, Mississippi. The fake sun is remaining over me, which is speaking to what is a fake sun over you wherever you are, because you also know that the fake sun is not only here and not over you at the same time, it's also not going to be over you because this fake sun stays here until the end of the day. And if you look at what I documented yesterday evening, you have the hard evidence showing you that the fake sun is over the same apartment building, the tree on the opposite side of the same apartment building at 4:30, where this demon is inside of her apartment gang stalking me and feigning to be asleep. Feigning to be asleep is that which is a psychopath's method of stalking in the path, where they don't even have to talk. Her mental health patients are stalking in the path, pacing like psychopaths. She is stalking in the path by being present in the bed on the opposite side of the wall. We're engineer light. This is the video that you already have listened to, because I'm going to, with regard to chronology, it occurred before I'm capturing this podcast at 10:48. I'm going to capture a screen recording, which is going to occur after this right now at 10:48 a.m. This is where the entity is gang stalking by the Ontario police at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, where the fake sun is over the same apartment building, where the people of the state are sharing in the elements of monitoring, sharing in the engagement of what is maintaining what is a chaotic, psychologically harmful, and harassing and terrorizing environment while they're gang stalking as an apartment complex, where the elderly are going to mental asylums and federal prison. As you hear the entity that is gang stalking, and I'm documenting amplified audible activity inside of the apartment, this is somebody that feigns being asleep while that amplified noise is happening inside of the unit. This is somebody that's a psychopath. This is somebody that is engaging in the use of her communication device and is enthralled in a conversation with another demon as a means of monitoring, while the fake sun and engineer light is flying in the air inside of her apartment and pasted onto the ceiling and all the walls. None of that is sunlight. That's a psychopath that's gang stalking with all of the co-defendants. LYNDA, Reyes, I want to be clear, AVANATH Capital Management's employees, they are one entity engaging in the criminal conspiracy to monitor and terrorize with the state, with the demons who are audibly creating audible activity, criminally interfering with quiet enjoyment. It's not separate and distinct. It's going to be used against Reyes, who may or may not be off of work today on Sunday. She's not removed from the P.O.C. You work here at the venue. She's fully engaged in the pattern of conduct throughout the city of Ontario, in the state of California, and she's a documented terrorist with the same entity under the fake sun over at 10 o'clock in the morning, where it's still here at the end of the day, where she's still working at 5 o'clock in the evening. You're not removed from that legal analysis, and you will be prosecuted for what's going on where you work on a 24-hour basis, regardless of your work schedule. So I just want you to be mindful of how the entirety of that entity is being documented together, while a sex offender and a psychopath uses her device, engaging in what is speaking to mental illness as opposed to normalcy, while she is satisfying the elements of monitoring as a demon-possessed psychopath who does very demented things, such as takes off her clothes and paces around in the kitchen and engineer light butt naked. This is the same one that is using her communication device gang stalking with a male who is going to be prosecuted as well. Her phone records remain relevant with regard to prosecuting the entity that's sharing in the elements of monitoring using communication devices. Nonetheless, the entity is in 10:48 a.m. The entity is gang stalking via amplified noise, booming, maintaining an ongoing course of audible activity, and this occurs as I am pulling up on my device where surveillance is underway on the venue of the internet, pulling up the video that is documented at 10:05 a.m. that is approximately 15 minutes long. So the video exceeds the time that I started the video here on the same day in 2025 with what I'm documenting on this day in 2024. And so that timeline with regard to same time of day, and speaking to what is impossible, that the sun would be over both addresses in the manner that it is that I'm documenting. I started the video inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, where engineer light is inside and the fake sun is outside, where the fake sun remains at the end of the day. And this is what I'm documenting in Los Angeles, in an entirely different region, where the sun that is outside of my living room window, as I'm documenting on this day at what is 10:05 a.m. And that video is 15 minutes and 30 seconds. So that video ends at 10:20 a.m. Where this video that I captured today starts at 10:12 a.m. and it ends at 10:17 a.m. So we are getting to the exact same time where you will see again, as I've documented even at 5 p.m. I'm documenting in the middle of the afternoon. I'm documenting at all times, in other words, the fake sun that is stationary, and you are listening to.
Of course I do. Of course I do. I stumbled a little bit, but it's okay.
That is the audible activity and relevant positioning of demon-possessed gang stalkers. And these are, this is Tracy Banks, who is gang stalking her daughter, as also the documentation of what is the engineered light that fills her apartment on a ceaseless basis, piercing through the peephole, spanning across her ceiling, spreading across her walls, fanning across the cabinets, just appearing in the shade, in the dark, in the living room, maintaining presence on an ongoing basis while she's engaged in that surveillance system. And this is also what she's engaged in while I'm living apart from her inside of my apartment. She is a gang stalker as well. She's been engaged in targeting me, and so has the state since I was a child. And this is speaking to the lack of remorse that this psychopath has toward me, which is why she's gang stalking, in furtherance of committing murder. This is somebody that is a violent sex offender, that is engaged in what is perverted things with those who were formerly associated with me, like Jason Isaac Fields. This is somebody that is demon possessed, is a part of what is a dark witch coven, worships Satan, in other words, is engaged in witchcraft, practicing demonic things. And the system of federal group stalking and monitoring is also demonic. And demons are calling her phone. Demons that include her own son, Eric Spencer, who is a gang stalker, who engages in monitoring me in the same exact way while the same exact specific environment remains. So you are always getting past what is the veneer, and it is a very thin and superficial veneer where the specific environment remains, and psychopaths exhibit that very severe mental illness and high level of malice while you're hearing cackling in the background, not a worry whatsoever, the funniest conversation ever had, the most entertaining person you could ever imagine that is on the phone while the elements of monitoring remain ceaselessly underway. The engineer light is inside of the apartment. The fake sun is over the apartment. And this is also relevant to the video that you are going to listen to on the podcast, but you will also be able to witness as you go to the P.O.C. website, as you go to the P.O.C. YouTube channel, where the demons are gang stalking with this psychopath that's monitoring via a communication device. This is Title 18 federal stalking conduct. While you hear the loud laughter, while you hear the conversation, which is actually not even about the subject, it's audible activity creation. It's actually all about me. And that is what is also psychopathic about the demon possessed who are gang stalking. And you know all of that about the obsessive concern with me because of the elements of monitoring that are simultaneously accomplished under a fake sun while impossible light activity, light which is inexplicable, light that you clearly know I am not making up, while it is coexisting with the very entertaining conversation that is being had on a communication device, while amplified noise is filling the apartment, while a fake sun is remaining over the apartment. That is again the same defendant who is indeed going to a mental asylum, and so is her co-defendant, the demon in Unit 55 with license 5WUB715. The conversation ending at 10:53 a.m. The telephone records are part of the prosecuting the people of the state who are gang stalking via communication devices of the defendant that remains in the apartment, sharing in the elements of monitoring and sharing in the criminal act of monitoring the evidence against the state itself. This is the entity that is very disrespectful of the federal case against the state. This is, again, the U.S. government that is interfering and is knowledgeable about the case against itself. You're going to prosecute for that level of impunity by the U.S. government that's monitoring an American citizen that is enforcing their rights against that U.S. government. Okay, it's the entity that is monitoring the evidence against itself, and that again is an unfathomable level of a violation of against a so-called constitutionally governed government, constitutionally mandated government, and it is the entity that is itself aware of the fact that evidence against it is being accumulated, it's being published, it's being gathered and maintained for a prosecution. And that same government is aware of it and is even monitoring it while that phone conversation, that's what's being accomplished. And it is unlawful. The entity is doing so in the specific environment. They don't have a constitutionally protected right to live in the facilitating venue, to visit, to make any delivery, to engage in any landscaping, to fly over the sky space, to maintaining phone conversations, etc. This is the government's P.O.C. All right, and the government doesn't have any warrant of probable cause or constitutional authority at all to engage in gang stalking like the psychopaths, like the demon-possessed population. That includes the defendant who you hear having a loud, boisterous conversation, which is the elements of monitoring, audible activity, and relevant positioning, where this psychopath was also previously feigning sleep. You're not asleep under the fake sun. You're not asleep in the engineered light while it's occurring in your apartment, okay? The entity is engaging in a P.O.C. on an ongoing obsessive basis, and that is speaking to, again, the sex offender that's also not asleep while she's monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom. All right. The entity is doing so on an ongoing obsessive basis. I want to make sure that I get this because the video that is going to be heard on the podcast next is speaking to what is the supernatural phenomenon, which is a matter of tangible evidence to prosecute this very psychopathic and malicious pattern of conduct of gang stalking that is embedded into society, where you have the conveniences of just executing a phone call to gang stalk simultaneously. And that is to that's the unpersuasive now that you're aware of the evidence, but this is the convenient means whereby gang stalking is occurring seamlessly and systematically. While all manner of psychopathic conduct is underway, even by a conversation, you're understanding and taking off the veil. That's actually nothing normal with regard to the phone conversation that is malicious, with regard to very mentally disturbing behavior. And the fact that it is sought to be concealed in such a quote unquote normal means is revealing that malice and what is done in furtherance of committing murder and psychologically torturing another. While I'm giving you a real-time narrative about malice of a gang stalking relative, a psychopath who is indeed going to a mental asylum. The conversation is coexisting with amplified noise. The demon in unit number 55, where the fake sun is reflecting off of this demon's vehicle at 5:03 p.m. in the same parking lot where you see it at 9:46 a.m. over this same demon's apartment at the same exact apartment complex, the same address, and is feigning sleep. You're not sleep in this specific environment. You're not sleep amongst the amplified noise. While those demons are obsessively gang stalking as one entity, that there is no rest for the wicked, and they're never resting and taking a break from monitoring. That's a fallacy, and it's also an implausible one. While I merely show you the evidence of the environment where a demon is gang stalking and wants to act like, oh, I'm asleep, I don't know about what's going on, ain't nobody concerned about you. That's the entity that is engaged in the P.O.C. That's the entity that's going to a mental asylum as well. It is currently 10:58 a.m. This is P.O.C. And you are always mindful about the entity that's engaging in what is the psychological warfare component. This is also a demon that's not asleep while they're spiritually attacking you, practicing witchcraft, and then acting like they're taking, the demons are not sleeping. Their obsession is already proven. Their stalking is already proven. And I want you to see the ways in which they're gang stalking and getting help with it via communication devices to monitor me while they know evidence is being in real time published onto the internet, onto the Google Drive and specifically. And that is what is happening, by the way, which is verified on the Google Drive at 9:57 a.m., 10 a.m., 10:19 a.m., 10:20, where you can see in real time. This is when the phone call is initiated. The phone call that's supposed to be the guise under which, all of a sudden the demon is awake. And now you have this loud, boisterous engagement in the elements of monitoring to monitor the evidence as it's being published on the internet in the same exact environment where a fake sun remains over your apartment all day long. It's not over the apartment all day long because they're taking a sleep, which is to abandon the engagement in the elements of monitoring. That ongoing obsession is satisfied, satiated through the means of that phone call, while the co-defendants are pacing around like psychopath, and it's amplified in volume, pacing around under the fake sun all around the apartment, while that light source is outside of the apartment and engineer light fills the apartment. And at the same time, on the same day a year ago, this is the P.O.C. where you know that that's not the sun over this psychopath's apartment. That's not sunlight, clearly, where the fake sun is both over this apartment and over outside of my apartment in Los Angeles. Totally nowhere near units 33 through 64. And then you are then listening to what is a psychopath that's monitoring, again, a relative at that. It's egregious to gang stalk a stranger like the rest of these psychopaths who are the people of the state. It's more diabolical and wicked as you are looking at an appetite for murder and kidnapping in somebody that wants to be me. This is a demon-possessed person who serves Satan, is obsessed with her own relative, her daughter. And this is why she does things as petty and pathetic and also threatening as putting holes in my clothes. That's how far-reaching that depth of envy and hatred reaches. It's both petty and it's also psychotic. Okay. Somebody that literally wishes that they could be in my body and have my body parts and speak like me, walk like me, talk like me, blink like me, breathe like me. This is the demon-possessed gang stalker who you hear on the phone monitoring her own daughter. Okay. It is 11 a.m. This is P.O.C. on April 6, 2025. And what's following next is the screen recording that I'm going to capture now, where it is capturing the fake sun at the same exact time outside my living room window, speaking to the illusion. That's not sunlight inside of my apartment in Los Angeles. Neither is that the sun. That's the specific environment. It's not the sun over Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments on the same day at the same time. Neither is that sunlight that's covering all of the venue outside, nor is that sunlight obviously on the inside of the apartment. It's the specific environment where the P.O.C. is underway, speaking to a statewide P.O.C. And then getting down to the details, this is a very pathetic and also malicious engagement in the elements of monitoring, while the people of the state call her communication device, and this psychopath feigns waking up to engage in the audible activity creation to monitor the evidence that the demons know is being published online in real time. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently Sunday, April 6, 2025. It's 11:06 a.m. And this is video documentation that's relevant to time of year analysis and also time of day. And this is referring to documentation that I already captured, which is down here at the bottom. This is video evidence captured today at 10:12 a.m. And this is acknowledging a video evidence that was captured on the same day in 2024 where I am living in what is Los Angeles, California, at what is Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles in LA County, which is sharing no sky space over Woodside Senior Apartment. So this is, again, with regard to this hovering light source, which is ignorantly referred to as the sun. It's not possibly the sun, as you recall, and we can just go very briefly into what was documented recent history, where demons are feigning to be asleep, where gang stalking is happening in your apartment. Those are psychopaths that engage in that, where the government is gang stalking, where you're inside of your apartment as in a whole government operation. You're a psychopath that's gang stalking, where this same fake sun is present at 4 o'clock in the evening. I'm documenting on the next day the entity that has the fake sun over this apartment, as I'm documenting it at 9 in the morning. This is the same apartment building where it is present at 4 o'clock in the evening, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, where the fake sun's over the same property, where the people of the state are joining in on that gang stalking system. I clearly shown through what is the maintenance of a whole manufactured environment, and it's demonic. It's reflecting off of the buildings over. This is the same building it's over right now at 9:46 in the morning, units 33 through 48, where it's reflecting off of the windows of that building, where it's over my head as I walk outside of the same apartment, where I've got multiple shadows outside in the afternoon, the evening, where the fake sun is at the same exact location as I go outside of the same front door. This is the same building, units 33 through 48, where the entity is maintaining this light source. This is at 5:11 p.m. and this is the same building where the fake sun is the next morning, which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct, units 33 through 48. This is it at 9:48 a.m. I'm starting this video today at 10:12 a.m. and this is in reference to what you see above, which was documented on the same day, April 6th, 2024 at 10:05 a.m. The video is 15 minutes long, and so that means it's ending at 10:20 a.m. This is getting the exact same time where the video that I begin showing you what is not sunlight. This is the directed light, engineered light that's covering everything outside. None of this is sunlight. None of this is sunlight. Neither is this. This is all engineered light that's coding, speaking to the illusion, which is demonic. Satan is the one that plays in illusions. The demons are the ones that are relying on your being ignorant regarding the illusions that surround you. None of this is sunlight. And the evidence of the fake sun is speaking to nothing other than the ability to identify where gang stalking, the demonic system of surveillance is underway. And it is showing what is at the same time a fake sun over me in Los Angeles, also shown outside of my living room window as I'm facing the hillside in my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, which I will also go ahead and show you that really quickly while the entity is maintaining. Let me see. What is this pattern of conduct? I will go and show you what is under no circumstances at the same location. This is out 1806, not Alvarado Street. This is my apartment building here. The facing the hillside is on this side. This is where the fake sun is at 10 05 a.m. when I'm starting the video. And this is the entire apartment complex where the entity would keep the fake sun rising on this side of my apartment and setting through my bedroom window on this side of the apartment, which is a matter of documented evidence. And this is where the entity is in Ontario, California, in San Bernardino County, maintaining a fake sun that you see on the east side of units 33 through 48. And as you saw yesterday after 5 p.m. is on the west side of the same apartment, units 33 through 48, in alignment to me and in conformity to the pattern of conduct where demons are feigning being asleep and using their communication devices while they're monitoring with the people of the state. Gang stalking in the specific environment is a highly unpersuasive and also a psychopathic means of monitoring your own relative, while you also know that that person is documenting it. And it's also speaking to the mental health conditions of all of those co-defendants who are gang stalking. And that includes the entire state of California who are engaging in that POC, as the documentation of the fake sun and the engineer light is identified in a manner where on the same day at the same exact time you have an impossible supernatural occurrence where the sun is over me and engineer light, not sunlight, is around me while I remain subject to this pattern of conduct. And that's the significance of this. This is P.O.C.
That translates in federal court, and it is currently 10:05 a.m. It's April 6, 2024. And this is for purposes of making a vivid illustration for you to understand the direct evidence of a criminal system operated by a government that is demonic at its core, and that translates in federal court and in, again, court documentation, that the literal language of that demonic system, which is serving a criminal purpose by a government, a corrupt entity, is terrorism. All right, and so this is the light activity. You're looking at the blinds that are in my bedroom. This is where the entity is keeping the light source 11 hours from the first video that I captured, 7 o'clock to 11 p.m. The entity is keeping the light source through this window as though the sun is going to be setting, visible through the same address, okay? And this is the criminal behavioral pattern by the entity that's in that specific environment. While they're walking around an engineered light that you're seeing on my ceiling, they're creating what is light activity. They're monitoring while they are moving around in a vehicle in the engineered light. The vehicle lights are a method of light activity as well. And by the way, you're also looking at demons who actually are contrary to what they are appearing on the outward. They actually know exactly what I'm saying and what I'm doing. So I want to be clear. This is group stalking. They are in the path. This is intentional. Walking away from the vehicle, that was a demon stalking in the path, anticipating, knowing that I'm in operation of my communication device. You know this by virtue of the environment that's around. They are engaging in what is this is a demon that is intentionally at a parking spot that's in alignment to me. Understand the simultaneous activity creation, the presence in the path, and the path is occurring in the specific environment. The sun is not rising and setting at the same address. That's how you know that. These are psychopaths that are the secret society, their whole course of conduct is that which is supposed to appear that it's naturally happening. All of this is relying upon your ignorance about the environment that they're in. That only works when you're ignorant about the light activity, when you're ignorant about the fact that the sun is rising and setting at one address, or that the entity is or that the entity is following with an entire environment, so that any and everybody that is in the path of the target individual is capable of engaging in that demonic system of group stalking, which is criminal surveillance in concert with the state. So this is speaking to what is engineered light that's covering building 1818. And at 6 p.m., the entity's light source is above building 1818. And this same engineered light that's touching this building, which is a method whereby the people of the state are group stalking where they live, okay? That's how a demon is stalking in the path. Demons are third parties. And this is, again, the grounds upon which everybody at Alvarado Gardens, the entity that is 59 units filled with group stalkers that are providing an unlawful and an intolerable level of criminal facilitation to the government that is engaged in criminal surveillance here in the state of California, which is prefaced through the specific environment and the light activity, which is all occurring in the absence of any warrant or probable cause, while the government is also employing satanic methods of targeting someone and engaging in criminal monitoring. And central to this monitoring system, this group stalking, this criminal surveillance, which is also also in violation of Title 18, is the engineered light. For example, the light that you saw illuminated on my ceiling, the light that you see magnified through closed blinds, these little itty bitty holes, light that you saw appearing on the same wall. Okay, how are you you're talking about light that's shooting like a laser and then hitting the mirror and then ricocheting back to hit the wall? Absolutely. impossible light activity, while you're also seeing those trees, the leaves on those trees blowing dynamic light inside of the bedroom. Okay, and that's just one level, because this is magnified, this is engineered light as well. While you're looking at then what is the concentrated light, that's supposed to be the sunlight, okay, when you're not paying attention to the environment. But even as you pay attention, there is no sunlight that's coming from the sun, that is above us, not adjacent to us, that is not shooting light horizontally like a laser, coming through and creating the shape of the object of whatever it's hitting, such that that object appears flat on the ground. That's what this is. And it's also magnified in size, literally coming through in an impossible manner. This is appearing on the floor. That's impossible. The entity does the same thing, because you'll see the pattern of the blinds now. You've already seen the documentation when these same blinds in the same position, where the entity is already, again, having the light source not even on this side of the building. Not that that's an explanation for the pattern of the blinds being on the ceiling. All right, this little section in between the blinds, a concentrated light that I've shown you that, which is entirely demonic. This is demonic. This is documentation of what is unlawful presence by the state, who was stalking in this environment, having no warrant, no probable cause, no constitutional basis for maintaining that constructive presence, while the people of the state are engaged in criminal presence, not coincidentally crossing paths, as you saw as I started this video, at 10:05 a.m. And the reason why I chose 10:05 a.m. is because I want you, while you're looking at this light activity, which is denoting the presence of the entity, while you're even isolating, so that's ongoing analysis of what is not even sunlight, okay? But even I provide the ongoing documentation of what is in an absolutely different location. That is the San Bernardino County Human Services Department. That is a state facilitating venue. That's the government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, okay? By the way, while the entity is engaged in criminal surveillance, as I'm documenting San Bernardino County at 1627 West Holt Boulevard in Ontario, California, where I remain at 10:05 a.m. and I am maintaining ongoing documentation of the impossible light activity that's inside of that TAD office. That is the Transitional Assistance Department, the Human Services Department. That's San Bernardino County. San Bernardino County is a function and agency of the government.
Not only is the fake sun, as you can see it over units 33 through 48 right here, where it's remaining over this same apartment building, as you see it reflecting off of the windows of this same apartment building, as you see it over my head in the parking lot of this same apartment building, where I am documenting after 4 o'clock into 5 o'clock in the evening yesterday. It's not over the TAD office, which is on Holt Boulevard. Even while I'm in the city of Ontario, I'm in the city of Los Angeles, referencing documentation in 2022 on the same day.
The government is monitoring, and I also documented it while I was inside of a venue belonging to the government, San Bernardino County, where the light source is over my head at 10:05 a.m. in the same way that you see here, while I am capturing the light source in that parking lot of 1627 West Holt Boulevard. And you're also looking at a state actor who is driving a vehicle belonging to San Bernardino County, and I am reciting the sex offense that the entity is committing, just like you see FedEx engaging in, just like you see the people of the state that are driving their vehicles, and you're seeing the coexisting light activity that is swiping, appearing as though it's ricocheting off of their vehicles, or like you saw I.I.S engaging in while she's crossing path, monitoring, engaging in criminal surveillance with Amazon Prime at the specific venue, where, by the way, the light source is present at 5:15 in the evening. It is
You've seen the same pattern of conduct amongst the people of the state, literally same time frame at 5:03 p.m. days ago, where Amazon Prime is group stalking, as the fake sun, like you see here on the bottom, is reflecting off of the defendant's vehicle, the passenger side, in the same parking lot. And at 5:03 p.m., speaking to the ability in the same way that you see the fake sun right here, and the entity is presenting this as this is the sun that's reflecting, while you see it right here over the apartment building, because this is the same set of circumstances at 5:03 p.m., where the vehicle is a means whereby the sun is reflecting off of the vehicle in the same exact parking lot at 5:03 p.m., where Amazon Prime is gang stalking in conformity to the people of the state P.O.C, who use nothing other than logos, acting with a psychotic population, monitoring their own relatives, with the people of the state on their communication devices having the best laugh of their life, while they're gang stalking their own relatives, like exhibiting severe mental illness and malice. The entity is doing so in the specific environment like what I'm reciting on this day in 2024. And Amazon Prime is gang stalking with I.I.S and another third-party resident, who are pacing under the fake sun, at Alvarado Gardens at 5:17 p.m. And that's exactly what's happening at around the same time at 5:03 p.m. just days ago. And Amazon Prime is gang stalking with the demons, license 8GEN638 and license JPOWERS, while the entity is pacing in the parking lot under the fake sun with Amazon Prime gang stalking. This is already on the record, and I'm reciting what is the same exact identical P.O.C. in the specific environment. They're not vehicles that are just driving in the parking lot at the same time. These are demons that are stalking obsessively in the path, driving an engineered light that's manifesting in the shade, by the way, and they're driving under an idle fake sun that's over the same exact apartment complex over my head, even at the same time, 5:03 and 5:17 p.m. in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, amongst Amazon Prime, the people of the state, and the residents of Alvarado Gardens, and 5:03 p.m. amongst the people of the state, Amazon Prime, and the people of the state at Woodside Senior Apartments. That's the P.O.C. that I'm referring to. While you're looking at this at the bottom, the fake sun is reflecting off of a vehicle in the same way that it is at 5:03 p.m., where this illusion, this unpersuasive illusion, where demons that are inside of the apartments, like you hear on the phone, monitoring like a psychopath, not a normal person having an entertaining conversation. Everything and every bit of laughter is a means of a malicious psychopath that is gang stalking another person, and it is psychopathic to even engage in that unpersuasive outward demonstration exhibiting mental instability. All right, that's what you are aware of when you're looking at what is the stage that all these demons are standing on under a fake sun, all these props in the sky. Okay, it is the P.O.C. That's what I'm referring to when I'm referencing the P.O.C. in Los Angeles and, for example, the specific environment at the Ontario TAD office, which is on Holt Boulevard, and I'm also speaking to, at the same time, the entity is keeping the fake sun over Alvarado Gardens after 5 p.m. That's the same pattern of conduct that's documented here in Ontario at Woodside, not in the whole city of Ontario. The fake sun remaining over units 33 through 64 in alignment to me at Woodside. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct.
10, 11 in the morning. Again, that's capturing the pattern of conduct that the people of the state, including Amazon Prime, are engaging in. But nonetheless, while the entity is, while Iris Carnero, she represents the entity, she's driving on the asphalt in the shade, and engineered light is just bursting, appearing on the asphalt while she engages in that. That's dynamic light, that's impossible light activity, and it is distinct and having nothing to do with the maintenance of the light source. But you are understanding the maintenance of the light source, which is not possibly the sun, speaking to what is not possibly the natural environment, while it is remaining over me here, where the sun was rising this morning at 1806 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, 90026, while also the entity is maintaining the light source at an agency. This is denoting the criminal surveillance that the state is engaging in. What San Bernardino County is engaging in, let me be clear, the state of California and every third-party group stalker in the state of California is engaging in. All right, and there is no exception. And then you're also looking at what is also connecting not only the specific environment, but the behavior, the phenomenal behavior of those that are in that environment. And this is what's tying together and creating a system that is not based on
the behavior of amplified audible activity while you're walking around. And apparently you're walking around a lot. You're pacing around in your apartment, and that creates amplified booming and cracking. That's what is tying together the behavioral pattern. The pattern of arriving and remaining and following in helicopters in that remarkable phenomenal environment. That's what's tying together the behavioral pattern. The pattern of doing so with airplanes over the apartment at all hours, also day and night, not only showing you what is proof of stalking, but showing you proof of 24-hour surveillance over my apartment at all manner of hours and all manner of disruption and what is amongst light that is also impossible to naturally occur both day and night, while the people of the state, those demons themselves, are engaging in an identical code of conduct, a behavioral pattern.
Specific identity. This is the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government that's practicing a satanic method of targeting someone. That satanic method is relevant for malice, while terrorism is underway and a government is placing one under surveillance in violation of your constitutional human rights. And that is the engineered light. The engineered light that moves across sidewalks and buildings, and the person of the targeted individual, which shall be prosecuted as the sex offense, while an entity that is placing you under surveillance is engaging in an ongoing documented pattern of not only keeping that impossible light activity, that is, the sun is never going to be present over my apartment in Los Angeles, while it is at the same time over the San Bernardino County Human Services Department in Ontario, California at the same time. That is the unnatural environment. That is not the sun. That is speaking to the maintenance of a specific environment, one that is supernatural, where you're also capturing, again, for example, the sun rising at 7 in the morning and the sun setting in alignment to my apartment at the beginning and the end of the day, replete with what is impossible light activity that's appearing on my ceiling, that's appearing on the walls, that creates the movement of leaves and trees. While it's appearing on the ceiling, you're looking at the same closed blinds that appears on the floor, then those closed blinds appear on the ceiling. You have the shadows that are appearing above your head, multiple shadows, inside and outside, your shadow appearing in the shade. This is that engineered light. This is the creation of a specific environment for a criminal purpose where you are placed under surveillance, and this is denoting, again, that specific environment as I documented it on the same day 2 years ago, April 6, 2022 at 10:05 a.m., where the sun is not possibly going to be here. And you also know that this isn't the natural environment. This is a light source, and the reason why I do not refer to it as the sun, understand there's a specific purpose for the vocabulary that I use. I'm conceding the fact that you see a light source, but we're told about the sun and the operation of the environment, natural environment. This is not a natural environment when you are witnessing it present from the beginning to the end of the day. So in order to make that very clear distinction in your mind, you have to make a separation with regard to the way that you are addressing it. That is not the sun, that's a light source. That is not possibly over the San Bernardino Human Services Department and in alignment to me over my apartment, over my head, in other words, while I remain stationary inside of the same apartment where, by the way, the evidence shows that the sun is both, this light source is both rising and setting at the end of the day, 11 hours from where it's rising. That's not the natural environment. That's not the sun, as I juxtapose it to what the San Bernardino County was engaging in while they were monitoring me. By the way, that is a violation of your privacy. The government that's monitoring you is also making all of your information public. Understand what's inherent to the pattern of conduct. At that same venue, you've already seen the entity is stalking by helicopter at that same venue, 1627 West Hall Boulevard in Ontario, California. I've already published that. The entity is engaging in stalking in that same exact environment. And I'm giving you another piece of evidence that you will juxtapose while the light source is outside of this window while I'm in LA, and this light activity is inside of my apartment remaining, while the entity is then setting the same light source in alignment to my apartment. There is no evidence that the sun is ever going to be present in the state of Florida. All right, this is revealing what is going on outside the jurisdiction of California, in other words, okay? This is speaking to that which you have not been told the truth about with regard to the way that our environment actually works, told about things such as climate change, when in reality, you have a real-time control of the environment that you are observing and not paying very close attention to, as opposed to it being some ongoing combination of circumstances that we as human beings are affecting, and this is the operation of the natural environment that's creating or affecting the climate, or affecting the way that the earth is being affected. No.
And as you can clearly see, climate change, which is a means of addressing the intensifying conditions of the weather, for example, getting hotter in the summer, getting colder in the winter, is under no circumstances addressing the idle source, that light source remaining over one building. In the entire world, there's only one sun, and it is remaining over one building. The ability to do a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, and someone on the East Coast can go outside of their home and show the sun over them, over the top of their head, and I can show you the body of evidence is showing you where this fake sun is remaining over this same apartment from the beginning to the end of the day. Climate control, climate change is not addressing that. And it is an idiotic and very highly deceptive and inadequate. The demons have an inadequate ability to logically and scientifically address it. And this is what the government uses to condition our minds about what's going on in the environment, because it's relevant to also what's spiritually occurring. This is regarding the spiritual realm, this demonic environment that surrounds us, and the documentation, the evidence of it, your ability to see it and prove that which is as superficial with regard to the information about what's actually going on in the environment is not addressed by climate control, which YouTube is using to spread misinformation. While they call themselves protecting against misinformation, they're spreading misinformation, and they're deliberately doing that. They're a third party.
This has reverberating implications. The sun is not going to be present at one address for 11 hours, ever, period. It's not going to be within my purview. It's not going to be creating any sunlight. This is never at any time of the day, even if we're not going through a discussion about an unnatural environment, the sun is not going to create this. This is gymnastics underneath the coverage structure. There's a covering here. The sun is, again, downward trajectory of light. None of this would happen. It's especially not going to happen through closed blinds. And then again, the ongoing iterations. It's above. It's on all the walls. This is in every way.
And so I'm referencing the documentation that coexists, the body of evidence, when I walk into my apartment in the middle of the day, and the engineer light that's currently on the floor is creating the pattern of the blinds on the ceiling. That's what I'm referencing when I'm pointing to everything else that I've already documented before I captured this video, and what I am continuously documenting. That's what I was capturing at the beginning of this video when the engineer light is in my bedroom on the ceiling. All right, when the fake sun is outside of the living room window, that has nothing to do with the sun. And also, that's not the sun in the way in which the natural environment defies the sun, the behavior of the sun. Okay, that's what I'm getting to when I'm referencing on the ceilings and on all the walls. This is what you're looking at inside of the defendant's apartment. We're in real time. It's currently 11:29 a.m., 11:28 a.m. as you see me manipulating and doing like this and screening like this. The demons in units 33 through 64 who are going to prison and mental asylums, they're monitoring the evidence, and it is they are stalking with activity creation while evidence is in real time being created against them. They're going to prison. This is going to be used to diagnose actual mentally sick people who are demon possessed. That is affecting their behavior. That is actually referring to a human being's mentally ill state while they are gang stalking. And this is the evidence that's going, not only proving it with regard to their criminal engagement, but also relevant to diagnosing actual mental instability that's a threat to themselves and the public. They're in real time engaging what is gang stalking via amplification noise. While you see this light activity inside of this apartment and this fake sun that's outside of my apartment on the same day at the same time, even while the fake sun is outside of this apartment, which is in Ontario, which you see on the bottom, this has nothing to do with sunlight. And this is where the demons are stalking with amplified noise. It's the criminal interference with quiet enjoyment. And it's the same engagement in the elements of monitoring while a demon gets on a communication device and engages in a phone call. It is speaking to what is psychotic when the demon engages in loud laughter, which is designed to monitor someone else. This is how you're able to nothing other than scrutinize a psychopath that is failing and appearing to be separate and disconnected from the elements of monitoring. Gang stalking you, that's somebody that's using laughter while they are engaging in what is the psychopathic P.O.C. And they also know that they're being documented. It is no longer masked or persuasive. That's somebody that is engaging in what is laughing while gang stalking their relative. That's what you're deducing from that documentation in concert with the people where amplified audible activity is also happening right now in real time. So I want to document this, and I want you to listen to some of my analysis, even though this video is going to be published online and you can watch it in its totality.
It is currently 10:12 a.m. As you are aware, if you're paying attention to what I documented on this day in 2024, the fake sun is in perfect alignment with me, like it is outside of this front door. Like I took images at 9:48 a.m. where the fake sun's over the same building where it is at 4:30 p.m. like I showed you yesterday, where the fake sun remains after 5:30 p.m. outside of this same header glass door. And you're looking at what is evidence of stalking with light, the shadow of my hand on this floor lamp, the shadow of my hand on this wall.
The purpose of stalking with light, as I have termed it, this is clearly stalking with light. It's not naturally occurring. So that's speaking to the intent to maintain an environment where this peculiar light is present, and it's present for a reason. This is accomplishing what is surveillance, and surveillance amongst the demon-possessed who are monitoring. Monitoring is a spiritual act. Demon-possessed people are monitoring. You have a population of demon-possessed people who are monitoring, and it's a whole government operation. Okay, this is relevant to what is light that is not the product of sunlight, first of all, and also the entity that is demon possessed and is monitoring one person together, referred to as gang stalking. The entity is doing so in an environment that has nothing to do with actual sunlight. That is relevant to the amplified noise that's happening. This is how you are monitoring. This is how you know what they are doing. They are creating noise. They are creating, in other words, activity in this light that's not naturally occurring. And it's also giving you a greater context, because not only is this not sunlight, none of this that is outside is sunlight either. This is breaking down this whole illusion where the demons are monitoring in plain view, and the demons want to hide amongst the population. They do not want to be known as being associated with Satan. They do not want to be known as being demon possessed. They do not want to be known as even gang stalkers. They don't want to be known as sex offenders and stalkers, but they are. As you analyze the behavior of people who are demon possessed, and it affects their behaviors and decision making, and that is getting to their mental illness. And this is all known by the impossible light activity. It's a whole pattern of conduct. And you're going to prosecute third parties who are profiting from it, like AVANATH Capital Management. While psychopaths fill their apartments and they are gang stalking an occupant, an unprecedented and unfathomable level of violation in every regard of an American citizen.
By the shadow of my hand on this floor lamp, the shadow of my hand on this wall. This is the elements of monitoring. This is demonic. This is not happening with the ignorance of those who are gang stalking. You're looking at psychopaths who are gang stalking, the convenience of being in the engineer light, but this is a demon that's actually not even sleeping. That's the entity that's gang stalking. And also inside of this apartment where you're looking at engineer light that travels across the defendant's wall, as you've seen, the line of light that's here, and then it travels here, and then it's on a line on the ceiling inside of the kitchen where the Ontario PD are gang stalking.
All right, and right there, I'm just referencing the previous documentation like I am on this day in 2024, and I'm talking previous documentation. You've seen the pattern of the blinds on the ceiling. You've seen the pattern of the blinds on the kitchen cabinets. You've seen the pattern of the blinds on the adjacent wall, while in the morning on this day in 2024, above the video you see at the top, right up here.
Under the fake sun.
Up here, this is the pattern of the blinds that's currently in the morning on the floor, but you see the same thing above my head at another time, which is already documented on the record. You've seen the engineer light dynamic moving across the walls. That's, again, a lot of that I put together in a video that is published, and I published that yesterday. This is video documentation that is already published and available to view. I put it together with regard to the supernatural engagement in gang stalking, the intentional and very deliberate presence of this light, which the demon possessed who are monitoring you are not ignorant about it. You are being monitored. You're under surveillance in the United States. Not only that, there's a whole gang stalking system where the government is systematically engaged in psychological torture in order to murder people, kidnap people, put them in asylums when they're not mentally ill, frame them for crimes that they did not commit, while the gang stalkers themselves, including those in the courts, are a part of the pattern of conduct. And it's terrorism in the United States. That's what I'm referencing when I'm talking about what is on the ceilings traveling across the wall. There's a body of evidence of this specific environment that is this apartment, while a demon is using their communication device and gang stalking me with their friends who are going to be prosecuted by use of the phone records. This is the fake sun that is not in perfect alignment with 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6 at the same time, even on the same day. That which is outside of my living room window facing the hillside from 10:05 to 10:20 is not over units 33 through 48 at from 10:12 to 10:17 a.m. And you know that this fake sun doesn't go anywhere, because that's exactly the significance of what I documented yesterday evening. It's still here over the same building, okay? This is, again, all I'm doing is now facing the direction west, where the entity is gang stalking in a highly unintelligent and obvious manner, keeping a fake sun, rising it from the east side of one apartment building, and then setting it on the west side of that same apartment building. And that's evidence as you get it reflecting off of the building, reflecting off of the windshields and windows of that, and showing you what is not sunlight, where you have multiple shadows. None of this is sunlight. Neither is this that is covering all the property. Neither is this the sun that is maintaining this presence at the same time as I'm documenting on video today, in order to show you the malice of the entity that is obsessed and that is obsessively engaged. And I want to be clear, what you see reflecting off of this vehicle, it's at 10:12 a.m. This is the same building at after this building is adjacent to this vehicle. This is the same parking lot right here. And the fake sun that's reflecting off of the vehicle in this parking lot is now over the same side of that parking lot. This is how idiotic. This is the lunacy at 5:11 p.m. This has nothing to do with climate change. All right, the misinformation that YouTube is intentionally spreading because of the probative value, because of the fallacies, because of the conditioning of your mind that they require. But this again, the entity is requiring you to be an absolute ignorant person in order to entertain the notion of climate change and the evidence of what is nothing other than a sun at one apartment from the beginning to the end of the day. That has nothing to do with climate change. This is the fake sun that's over the building, in the same way that it is reflecting off of the building, off of the vehicle that's in this same parking lot on video today. That's what's reflecting at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is why you document, because Satan is not some all-knowing, some ferocious creature that's super powerful and omniscient. And no, he's not. He's actually an ignoramus. He's an idiot. He's desperate and he's pathetic. He's only effective if you're ignorant. He's only pathetic if you buy into his lie. where you should be able to pierce through a psychopath that's monitoring their own daughter with somebody that would engage in that egregious crime with her by doing so conveniently on a communication device. That's what you listen to on this podcast. It's disgusting. Okay. And it's also highly unintelligent, and it is the formula for a very intense prosecution of a whole government that is monitoring through a whole population of ignoramuses who are demon possessed, and all they're doing is pacing around in an entirely demonic environment that YouTube is spreading misinformation about, intentionally so, in order to obstruct justice. YouTube is going to be prosecuted. Okay, it's 10:17 a.m. in this video that where it ends, and this video ends, which is approximately 15 minutes and 30 seconds long. It ends at 10:20 a.m. It is currently 11:39 a.m. The P.O.C. remains underway, including while I document this pattern of conduct where the entity is monitoring in concert with the people of the state inside of these two buildings, this building here and this building here, stalking in the path where the entity is pacing incessantly right along this sidewalk where the entity is keeping the fake sun for the duration of the day, in conformity to the pattern of conduct with regard to monitoring someone. And it is proven through the maintenance of that specific environment which defies nature. And the demon in unit number 55, along with all the co-defendants in units 33 through 64, these two buildings, they're going to prison and mental asylums. All right. They are monitoring, they're gang stalking, further into committing murder and kidnapping and psychologically torturing with impunity and malice. And that is going to be at the forefront of their individualized prosecution for acting with the corrupt government. That government is also going to be systematically and comprehensively broken down and prosecuted. It is a prosecution of the state of California. It's currently 11:40 a.m. This is POC.